I don't mean to be a brat, but
Hmm.
everybody wants to be the best. Not everybody can be the best. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called the best. So, what is it that the best med spas have in common other than being a part of Alpha? Shameless plug.
Well, there are so many things, but for the sake of time, I think today we should talk about the top 7 things
Okay.
that will impact this. So that's having a clear vision,
I know. I was going to say, don't look at your cards. Can you do the 7?
set
You just looked.
goals, embrace data, our service mix, hire well, prioritize training, and hustle, which also goes along with your attitude.
Okay. I actually didn't think you'd be able to do it. I actually had to look down at my notes and I was like, let me see what these are. So let's talk about vision first. I know we talked about vision a little bit in the past, but why, at least to me, vision is so important and so impactful is it's your why. Like you have to have a why. And I think there are a lot of med spas and businesses popping up that their why is money. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying that's not a why, but, and again, we're not talking about good med spas. We're talking about the best med spas. Best med spas have a very clear vision and purpose that goes beyond just money. And being able to evangelize that or tell that to people and very clearly say, this is my why, this is what my vision is, clearly express it to where someone that can also say, like, oh, I totally get it. Like, this is their vision. This is where we're headed. Like, it makes everybody row in the same direction.
Mhm.
Um, I think for me too, when I have that, it's my North Star, it's my true north. So when other things compete, I'm able to say like that's going to take my focus or that's a competing priority that does not align with my big picture vision. So it helps me to stay on track and I think med spa is the same thing. When they have that clear vision in mind of who they are, where they're headed, their why, like they're not as likely to run after distractions. Because
Yeah.
I do see that happen in med spa sometimes where every shiny new thing that comes at them, they run after. But is it getting you closer to your goal or further from your goal?
So you made a really big statement. How do you know that that's what other med spas, that's their vision, is just money?
Ha! I think that a lot of what I've seen out there as far as some of these pop ups, maybe that's too broad of a stroke, but I think some of these that are popping up very quickly, I think it's some of it's money. That was like I said, a broad stroke, but some of it is freedom because they don't like corporate structure. And so they think that they're going to go out but it's not as well thought out.
Yeah.
And so because that's their structure, they're able to kind of go where the wind takes them. And because of that, if you go where the wind takes you, you're not going in a straight line. And not to say that you always have to, we have to be nimble, but that means that your destination is going to take a lot longer.
Yeah.
So if you have that focus, you have that purpose and that meaning, you have a broader stroke, then you're going to be able to achieve your goal a lot faster. I
Yeah.
think the other thing too, um, regarding your vision is culture is a part of that. You can't have a best med spa without a strong culture
I completely agree with you on that one. And I think
on that one.
yeah. Um, you need to think about what makes you different because you mentioned there's med spas on every corner now. That wasn't the case before. So now there's a lot of competition out there, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people offering the same services, and there's a lot of really great injectors out there. So
Mhm.
you when you're thinking about vision, what makes me stand out? What makes my med spa stand out? What makes my team stand out? And how are we different?
I love that. And then you have to lean into it because you're right. Like you don't want to be just another option. I went through an exercise today actually where I was looking at various med spas and I added a column that said differentiator. What makes them different from the pack? And so like there were different things that I was pulling out like expertise, tenure, community involvement. Like those are all things that you could identify like what will be the thing. And it doesn't necessarily have to be will be the best injectors because that could change.
Yeah.
There are a lot of good injectors, so an identifying mark like we will be the best injectors could fluctuate.
Mhm.
And so I think it's looking beyond that. What will make us stand out? I love that you brought that up.
I also think you need to make sure that your team is clear on your vision. So if our vision is to be the best and here's how we're going to differentiate ourselves,
Yeah.
You all need to know that, and you all need to be speaking the same language, and everyone needs to be making all of their decisions based on what our vision is.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink. You don't wanna be the ones wearing blue, right? Like,
Exactly.
but because your leader didn't tell you we wear pink on Wednesdays. So
Yeah,
I
make it known.
yeah, I agree with that. There's a really good book by Simon Sinek, and it's called I think it's called The Why or something like that, like knowing your why.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a big piece. It's like you can charge people forward, but if I go to you and say like, "What's our why? What's our purpose behind this?" And they're like that's not good. So I love that you said that and reiterated like the emphasis on the team. And then what is another one? So that's one. So the first one is setting vision that sets your tone. What's the
Yeah.
second one?
Now you need to set some goals, and there's a lot to setting goals besides writing on a paper of like, "Here's my goal, and I wanna do all of this
My goal
money,"
is to
or
open a
right?
business.
Exactly, and I'm gonna have whatever okay, I don't need to get into the weeds. We need to set goals, but in order to do that, you need to reverse engineer how you're gonna get to those goals. So,
Mhm.
for example, if my goal is to make X amount of money, I need to know what does that look like on a per day, a per week, a
Mhm.
per month basis in order
Mhm.
to hit my goal. I'm also gonna need to know how it impacts all these other things, like what's the domino effect for these
Mhm.
goals that I'm setting.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at revenue per hour as well, average tickets, like what do I need to get to my goal if my goal is making a certain amount in my practice to continue to be able to support my teams and my people and buy new products, invest in training, all
Yeah.
of that. I
And
know we talk
a goal could be we want to go to this training. We want to go
yeah.
to this cadaver training, or a goal could be I want to get that lights and lasers device. Like
Mhm.
those are all actual goals, but the thing is that's the goal. How do we get there? And so I appreciated that
Yeah,
you said reverse engineering. So
and get super
like having a
granular with
plan.
it. Go all the way down to how many patients does that mean per day if my average revenue per visit is X amount.
Mhm.
So there's multiple ways that you can think about this, but you need to be really thoughtful in how you're looking at.
And I think the takeaway from that for me is this doesn't happen by accident. So best
Mhm.
med spas don't happen by accident. It's not like they stumbled into this and it was luck and timing and they're like, we just want to cover our bills and it happened. Like, don't get me wrong, I have seen some people that have not had that structure and have incredible top line. And you give them all of these tools and resources and say, okay, well, let's think about it thoughtfully and let's set goals and let's actually try to achieve those goals, then take it through the roof beyond what they even
Yeah.
thought possible, which again is why this episode is talking about the best med spas and not just good. And so a lot of this means intention. They have to have intention behind what they do. And all of that starts with setting goals.
Yeah.
And how do we reach that?
And I know we talk about numbers a lot because this is operations, but I think another goal that you can think about too when we talk about setting ourselves apart, how is our culture gonna be different than everybody else, and how are we gonna
As a goal.
right.
Yeah.
Our
I like
goal
that.
could be a really strong culture and really positive energy and environment and supportive team, right?
Yeah.
And that's gonna translate to the client
Well, that goes back
experience.
to the vision casting, but then the idea is give it enough importance and value
Mhm.
to make those into goals,
Yeah.
which I love because then that keeps it top of mind to everybody.
Let's go back to the data.
Let's go back to the data. Embracing it. So that's number 3.
Mhm.
So is embrace the data. And this is something common that I've seen in good med spas, which is they know some of the data. They might know their revenue, but then when you ask them, like, how did that particular promo perform? Or how many discounts do you have? Or what is your revenue per hour?
What's your best day ever?
What's your best day ever? What is your inventory like?
Mhm.
Like, where are you at with your inventory? How many days on hand do you have? That's where you start to lose them. And so, good med spas, pay attention to some of the numbers. The best med spas look at it holistically. They look at all of the numbers that are going to impact the performance of your business. So, embrace it. Make sure that you're looking at KPIs. Well, first, before you can look at the KPIs, you have to set the
Mhm.
KPIs. So, like KPIs, your key performance indicators. Like, again, we've talked before, like, what are the most important KPIs? So, make sure that you have these in place, these benchmarks of, I need to hit this. Again, that reverse engineering, I'm going to have to hit this to hit this goal. And so you know that this is going to be a meaningful KPI. Or I need this number of clients you mentioned. That can be a KPI. So set those and then track to it. But I also think too what the data gives us is it also allows us to be nimble, and you have to be. And so this I'm going to lump into embrace the data, which is as a person who does love data, and I know you do too, we've come to like really obsess over it, is like it tells a story. So it's trends. You're not just looking at it for the sake of looking at it. Like I've checked off a box, I've checked my numbers
Mhm.
today. It's like, what is the story that the data tells you?
Right.
Does it tell you that there's going to be a downtick in a certain service? Does it tell you that this is an uptick in a certain service?
Does it tell you it's time to hire a new provider?
Yeah, exactly. Is it telling you? So you have to know how to read the data and look for trends. So trends for me personally, and feel free to disagree with me,
Mm.
I'm looking at least 3. So 3 months. I'm using the rule of 3. If I see it 3 in a row or 3 months of data and something is happening, that's a trend. The same thing is happening. So for instance, revenue went up month over month in October and then November and then December. That's a trend. The trend is that the revenue is going up in Q4. If it's going down, same thing. But if it happens to spike 1 month, that's not a trend.
Mhm.
So you're literally looking at this like a story and being like, what does it tell me? Now, we all experienced, I don't know, it was last year or the year before because everything's blurring to me. We had an unusual decline in Q4, and we are all used to Q4 being a very strong month.
Mhm.
So when the story tells you something that you're not expecting, that's why I was talking about being nimble. Like you might have to change. And the best med spas are not stuck. The best med spas are not the ones that say, this is the way we've always done it.
Yeah, and the best med spas are not reactive. We shouldn't wait for the business to happen and then look back and be like, "Ooh, is this something I could have caught ahead of time by looking forward
Mm-hmm.
in my business to
Yeah.
identify certain things if the storm's brewing?"
Yeah.
You don't want to be in it before you're like, "Oh my god, where'd this come from?"
Exactly. I think the other piece too, and again, no shocker that it's stuck in data for a little bit, but I think part of it too is that tells you where you need to invest more energy and money sometimes, like in marketing.
Mhm.
So you're going to be looking at the story and you're going to say, oh, we've got a decline in new clients. Why? Or we've got a decline in this particular service. Why? Those are things that you wanna dig into, and data is important for marketing too. Like, that is going to dictate your strategy for your marketing, and don't be afraid to look in, like, what are the keywords? Are things shifting as far as what people are looking for? Those are also aspects of data that are gonna impact your business, so you need to get into the nitty-gritty of what's happening. Our industry is evolving so much quicker than it ever has before. It's not as stable as it used to be. There are trends, there are impacts because of social media and things like that that are changing behaviors. You've got to be in the know and be able to be nimble and make those adjustments from a business perspective too. All right. What else?
I think we should talk about service mix a little bit too,
Okay.
because service mix matters. And when we look at P&Ls, we've examined tons of P&Ls. When we see the best bottom line, it's usually practices that also have lasers, micropenning,
Yeah,
esthetician services, not strictly injectables.
I agree.
Yeah, I was gonna say just the consumable factor on certain things, you're making more profit when you're mixing up what you're doing.
And I think that's the thing is the differentiator here is good med spa and great med spa, which is good med spa. We're looking at the top line. We want to put money on the top line, which is great. Top line, top line, top line. It's like making sure we're getting all this money in the front, forgetting that we have bills to pay. And then really what you're taking away is what you put in the bank.
Mhm.
And so what service mix does for you is it makes sure that you have more money to put in the bank. And great spas think about their bottom line. Good
Yeah.
spas think about their top line.
I was also thinking about something you said earlier about how this industry is evolving and how we saw something in a category that used to be really strong
Mhm.
take a big decline in an injectable category, and lasers popped up.
Mhm.
Now, if you don't have multiple modalities in your clinic, you could be taking a huge hit if you don't have
Mhm.
other options for people to regenerative options, if you
Mhm.
will, for people to try.
Yeah. I think I don't wanna go on a tangent, but I did that is a really good point, which is I think great med spas versus good med spas. We talked a little bit about vision and how Good med spas will still chase after everything.
Mhm.
So it's not to say that you have to go get every modality just in case, but the idea is you want to have at least the categories covered. And maybe you don't have energy-based devices, but you have chemical peels. That's also something that you can lean into. So again, it's not to say go out and get everything, because you're going to end up with really expensive paperweights sometimes that you're sitting
Mhm.
on, which is not going to be good for your bottom line. But you do want to be smart about what services that you're providing so that you have a good mix. And then the other thing too, and why we say that, by the way, is Botox is great. It's going to get people through the door. Filler is great. It's going to get some people through the door. But at the end of the day, your margin on those treatments is not huge.
Yeah.
Like, and if you were to make it huge, you would price yourself out of the market. So there is a certain, like, certain bumpers you're beholden to. And so without having things like energy-based devices that have a larger margin, your margin at the end of the day, or your EBITDA or your profit, is going to be smaller. And so having that mix is just really important for a great med spa.
You're also pinholing yourself into a specific client.
Yeah, true.
Where are all my sun damage girls at?
Where are
I'm
my white girls at?
yeah, I love me some lasers, and I think if you're giving we talk about good, better, best. The best is you're giving your clients options. So if I'm looking for hyperpigmentation, filler and Botox are not gonna help me.
Right.
So it's having that mix, to your point. Even good retail, chemical peels,
Mhm.
micropenning.
Well, we talked about combo therapies. Like,
Yeah,
you can't give combo therapies if you only have a therapy.
right. So service mix matters not only for bottom line, but also for patient satisfaction and for high retention.
Yep. Okay. So another one is they hire well.
Mhm.
The best med spas have in common is they hire really well. And that's not to say that they don't have a misfire every once and again. I've had some misfires. I know we've talked about this. You've had some misfires,
No, I
but
haven't. Just kidding.
Janelle's perfect. Um, but at the end of the day, you want to have predominantly hired well. And so looking at that, I mean, I think that this is a given and we don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but we've also learned a lot about subjective versus objective. Like, have clear criteria in mind of what does a good hire look like? What are you looking for? And what does that look like? Meaning, like, when we hire someone, like, you want to be able to say, like, this is what I'm looking for. So we talked about, what is that hiring book that we
I can't
read?
remember.
Gosh dang it. Anyways, there's a really good hiring book. We'll figure it out and post it later. But it talks about not letting your emotions get involved. And that's the bottom line of all this. Like, you don't want to hire someone based on, oh, we got along, or I like the top. Like, you want to
Mhm.
make sure that you have some measurables in there that are tangible, that you can say, this person meets this criteria to bring them on. And then something that you're really good at, which is if they're not the right fit, like, and you've done all you can, like, fire quickly.
Mhm.
Like, don't let that drag out.
I'm actually not really good at that. I thought I was, but sometimes, to your point, like, emotions do get involved and they're really good at certain things and you're like, "Oh, you're just missing this one piece," but that one piece could be a really big piece
Yeah.
that could impact something like culture, which is huge.
Yeah. And again, it goes good to great, right? Like,
Mhm.
this person can be keeping us at good, but are we great med spa with
Yeah.
them? And I think that great hires make great med spas. We know that. Like,
Yes. That is everything.
there is no position too small. And I think as far as, like, the front desk, that's your handshake. Providers, obviously the skill. Managers are helping you run your business. Marketers are helping you get the word out there. Every position is important. And again, your North Star, your vision, making sure that there's something in your vision that's measurable against these hires, because they are going to be the people who are representing your brand. So it's super, super important. So they're the ones
Oh,
representing your brand. So hiring is, like, huge. Great med spas are hiring great people. And again, I'm going to keep going back to that vision. If you have a great vision, you have a great culture, you'll also be able to attract really strong talent. So keep that in mind too. If you have this really high standard for the people that you bring on, you have to be a place that really strong people want to come. Again, if you're a great med spa, then you're going to be able to do that.
you're gonna attract the best.
Absolutely. All
So,
right, let's
I
get
think
to number,
yeah, our next one is investing in training.
this is number 6.
There are so many benefits to investing in training. We're building confidence in our teams when we do this. And you've talked about this before, but you're improving your retention by investing in people.
Mhm.
And sometimes we can get a little bit short-sighted of like, I don't want to block their schedule. We could be
Uh-huh.
generating revenue.
Uh-huh.
But if you do this right, and then you send them to training and you track it, you will see your ROI on this is huge and totally worth it.
I agree with that. I also think that when I'm noticing a lot of search words having to do with training, trust, confidence. So, again, that's also what your patients are looking for. I remember when we were at the desk and we would credential, we would talk a lot about the training that they went through.
Mhm.
They've been trained by, they're either trainers or they've been trained by these master injectors or whomever it is. And it's not to say that we're only talking about injectors. You have to, we talked about great hires. You take a great hire and you elevate them through training. It's so important. We have to invest that time and energy. But again, this is what patients are looking for. We've also done covert calls where we're calling in and the person is super educated on the
Right.
phone. And we're like, wow, if this person
Right.
knows this
This
well.
is my first impression of this practice,
Yes.
and it's dialed in. You feel really confident going
Yeah.
into the
I've
next step.
never gone into a med spa that I'd consider great or is like at the top of its game as far as top revenue, top retention, top rebooking, great bottom line, and had a horrible experience with someone at the front desk.
Mhm.
Like, or
It's a common theme.
with the injector or with the manager. Like
Mhm.
greatness, again, like we have to invest in those people to take good to better and better to great. And training is imperative. I even remember there was a company that we worked for that, and actually Alpha does this too, where they would shut down for trainings.
Mhm.
And they were like, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge that they're willing to do that. Because to your point, there is a trade off, but the benefit is so much bigger, not just to your staff, the retention, to patient attraction and retention too.
Yeah. And it's important to get all staff involved
Yeah.
in almost all of the trainings if it makes sense, but I still think you can cross train so that people understand different departments and what goes into it.
I agree. The one thing I will say that for some of these smaller med spas, what I've heard is that they do have a hard time getting training and training support, but don't let that stop you. Like, don't let that stop you. Go out, do some research. If you have someone strong on team, use them as a trainer. It doesn't have to be someone from another vendor or whatever that looks like. You can get training wherever you're at, whatever you're doing. There are ways to access it. Find it, invest in it. It's worth it, and it's going to elevate you.
Yeah.
And then number 7 is my favorite one, which is attitude.
Mm.
And I also like attitude, hustle, like that is a very big deal to me. Great med spas have great attitudes. That could probably still be tied in a little bit to culture, but it's this mentality of like nothing's going to be given to us,
Mhm.
right? Like we're going to go out and get it.
Yeah.
And that is a big differentiator is that sometimes you see people who are the books are light,
Mhm.
right? Like the idea is that's the reality between a good and great. Good, I mean, and don't get me wrong, there are seasonalities and we all go through these ebbs and flows where we're going to have gaps on our schedule. It happens. And there is a rare exception on those clinics that are fully booked out, which one could argue then you need to extend your hours. But regardless, another topic, there are going to be those gaps, but the reality is good is they're going to struggle every month regardless of season. Great med spas are going to have seasons where they are booked out. So the differences there are attitude and mindset. Is you're willing to follow that North Star, do all of this investment, know that nothing's going to be given to you. You're going to have to hustle. You put in the work, you're going to identify the opportunities, and you're going to get after it. And that's infectious. Your
Mhm.
team is going to see that. Your team is going to mimic that, and your team is going to get after it. And that's what you see when you're going into these great med spas is that infectious attitude where they all hustle. They don't expect anything given to them. And you're like, you're rock stars. You're
Yeah.
amazing. You're doing incredible things. And you guys are doing all of this while ding, that's the light bulb. they're all getting after it and willing to do that.
Yeah, they're all wearing multiple hats and nothing is above them. That's
Yeah,
something I've noticed is no one is too good for anything,
I love that.
and they
I
all
agree with
it's like
that.
this servant leadership mentality at every level, and I think that's what sets great med spas apart.
We've talked about this before, and it just keeps resounding in my head because I keep experiencing it over and over again, which is like even at the provider level, the providers that don't want to hustle and treat staff and go out and talk to people and do all those things and that are like above it are the slowest growing as
Mhm.
far as their revenue and their actual productivity. And then you've got some of the people who are the busiest in our industry that will like, I'll go out there, I'll hustle, I'll do this, I'll treat the staff,
Yeah,
and they are productive. And I think that that is just such an important note to attitude that it's like you need proof. Go and look at what are the best businesses doing, and they have that mentality and they have that attitude. So,
I agree. So, as a recap,
okay.
our top 7 things that we've seen that differentiates good med spas from great. You have a clear vision, your team is bought in, you've set goals, you embrace the data, you look at your service mix, you hire really well and fire fast, you prioritize training, and you have a culture of a strong positive attitude with hustle.
Yep. So everybody don't settle for good when you can be the best.